àjànàkú kọjá mo rí nǹkan fìrí tá a bá rẹ́rìn ká sọ pé arẹ́rìn. Solocard Multiventures Limited ilé ọ̀rẹ́ àgbẹ̀ ni mò ń sọ níbi káta ojúlówó kẹ́míkà àti fataláísà tí kìí ṣe yèèpẹ̀. Ọ̀rẹ́ mi sọnù kí owó bá sọnù.
Ìwé kíkọ láìsí ọkọ́ àti àdá kò ì pẹ́ o, kò ì pẹ́ o. Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ níṣẹ́ ilẹ̀ wa, ẹni kò ṣiṣẹ́ á máa jalè. Ìwé kíkọ láìsí ọkọ́ àti àdá kò ì pẹ́ o, kò ì pẹ́ o. Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ níṣẹ́ ilẹ̀ wa, ẹni kò ṣiṣẹ́ á máa jalè.
Is a form of enterprises where we look into what benefits our farmers and how our farmers can benefit. Today we welcome you again to Solocard Multiventures Limited, where we talk about agricultural practices and how well you can actually do agricultural practices in order to make profit. Like you know, at Solocard Multiventures Limited, we are not just so particular about the profit we want to make from you, our farmers, but we are particular about what benefit do our farmers gain. As a matter of fact, the interest of our farmers is the most important thing that we look into, and as such we always want our farmers to always make profit. Now the profit our farmer makes is what interests us, is what makes us happy, is what gives us joy, and that's what makes us to always be here. We are always here because you are there for us, and we are here for you too as well. But how do we stand in gap for you? Is by doing what we have to do effectively for you to make profit and for you to get good results. At Solocard Multiventures Limited, we are always particular about the profit you're going to make. But how do you make this profit? These are some of the step-by-step practices that will bring about to your notice. Once again, my name remains Mark Uluwafemi for Solocard Multiventures Limited. Today, we will still talk about our usual topic. We have been dwelling so long about this topic because we want you to understand what this topic entails and how large you need to benefit from this topic. I tell you, it is not enough for you to plant. It is not enough for you to spray. It's not enough for you to apply fertilizer. But the most important thing is how do you turn your results to profit? I must confess to you, if you are planting and you are not making profit, you are not planting. You are not a farmer yet. You are only doing what? Doing horticulture, or you are just to try to practice agricultural practice. But you are not being business. Until you are making profit from your farm, that is when you are a farmer. But if you don't understand the concept of making profit, you can never make profits. Some of these concepts are the things we're actually looking into at Solocard Multiventures Limited to explain to our farmers in our own little way. We have been doing it. We're not talking about theoretical aspect. We have so many persons that we know they've read, they have so many journals and stuff like that. But how well can they turn that journal? How well can they turn that theoretical aspect to practical things? As a matter of fact, your practical knowledge gives way for what you think you know, because whatever theory you think you know, if you cannot implement that theory to become practical, I don't think you really know it. You only thought you know it, but you don't know it. But if you cannot practicalize it, then it doesn't show you know it. And that's why in the university today, no matter how long you take a lecture, they'll tell you there's a practical aspect of that lecture. There is practical, and that's why till tomorrow, polytechnic is always much more regarded than universities. You know why? Because polytechnics dwell so much on practical, and practical knowledge lasts longer with anybody that's involved than theoretical knowledge. And let's bring back to agriculture. In agricultural practice today, if you can practically demonstrate these things on the farm and you get the results, that shows that you actually know it. But it is not enough for you to mention so many theoretical things in the farm, on the field, and say, okay, fine, when you do this, you can have this, you can have this. But the point is this: have you actually done it? Do you actually got that result? If you are not getting that result, then there's a problem. Now the problem remains that you are not practically inclined, and as such, you can never make profit. And if you are not making profit, you are not doing agribusiness. And once you're not doing agribusiness, I tell you, you're only doing practice, fun, and the likes like that. So many persons in agriculture today, they have been doing this thing, but they don't understand the concept. But we have been dwelling so long on this concept. Now, what is the concept? Number one, you understand the size of your land. Number two, you understand the inputs required. Number three, you understand your soil profile. As such, it will help you tell you what to put in place, what you need to do, and how to achieve a better result. Then number three, you need to understand the crop you want to cultivate. And lastly, how do you turn your results to money? Is when you understand the concept of the marketing of your agricultural produce. I must confess to you, so many persons that produce so many things, but they cannot sell it. And that's what the problem is. How can they not sell it? Because they don't understand the concept of actually selling something. And I told you, if you are selling anything whatsoever, the first person you can convince is your family member. Can you sell your produce to your father or your mother? And you can convince them to buy from you. You cannot do that. You cannot sell to anybody outside. Else, you will be selling at a very ridiculous price outside, because the fact that any product is not difficult. You understand the concept. And we talked about one of our episodes, we talked about how do you understand your concept of selling your produce. Number one, how well do you know that produce? You have maize. How well do you know about maize? You need to understand the concept about the particular crop you want to sell. Because you need to convince the person that you want to sell to and give the person a reason why he needs to buy that produce and why he needs to buy from you. Now, why he needs to buy the produce, you need to let him understand the fact that the benefit of that particular produce or two things that you will say that he doesn't know. To the maize farmers, how do you convince someone to buy your maize? Number one, you let the person understand the fact that your maize are well grown, free of weevils. As such, the grains are weighty. Then, when the grains are weighty, the food inside is still intact, not just shafts. There are some maize that you buy that are just shafts. When you blend them, you find out that just breeze can blow them off. There is no much food inside because of the fact that the maize has been stressed. Moisture was not available for the maize. Weevils were attacking the maize. An armyworm actually dealt with the maize. So these things are not magic. If the sequence of cultivation is not well taken care of, you will see it in the results you get at the end of the day. But if you don't have this knowledge, how will you know? I want you to understand the fact that if your maize is weighty, any buyer that is buying from you to produce animal feed, they will see the benefit in the feed they are making. As such, they will also make more money because they're selling their feed by weight, not by bag. By the time they weigh it, they get 25 kg in a bag on time than when they buy the light maize. And that's how you look at some things. When some company wants to buy some grains from you, they will tell you bring sample. They will go and check it. What are they checking? They are checking for the weight of the food. What is the impurity content of your product? These are some of the things the people are looking at. And now the question is how do you correct all these things? It has to start from the beginning. From the beginning of setting of your maize, you need to do what? A proper land preparation, such that it will give the maize rather a good standing base. A maize that is not standing well, that does not stand well, cannot give you good stem. And a maize that doesn't have good stem cannot give you big crops. Try and get the concept. It is very possible for you to achieve 5 tons per hectare. But how many persons are getting 5 tons per hectare? Even some cases we are getting 6 tons per hectare. You might wonder, somebody say, hey, it's a lie. They are not getting it. It is magic. I tell you, it is not magic. It is a pure practical knowledge. There is no, I don't think there is juju in agriculture. Some people say, what for gumbini? I don't think that is actually true. Because if you are planting anything and you are cultivating it well, there is no juju involved. There is a conceptual practices that you need to follow. If only you can follow those practices, you will get that result. But if you cannot follow those practices, you can never get that result. Like I tell you, a nursing mother that is not feeding well would never give birth to a baby that is very weighty. There is no magic behind it. But you need to understand a concept that if the mother is actually feeding well and is eating what it needs to eat, the baby will be very weighty and the baby will be healthy. And that is why when you go for antenatal, They will tell you, eat this, do not eat this, eat this, do not eat this. They are not saying because they want to punish you, but they are only saying because of the benefit of the baby inside of you. So that when the baby comes out, the baby will come out well. The same thing happens to our crop. If you are growing maize, for instance, you didn't give the maize a very good background. You did not plant the maize well. You did not give the maize nutrients. And you want the maize to give you full cobs, and you want the cobs to be weighty, then there's a problem. Oftentimes, when you weigh your cob, oftentimes some people get 100 grams, 120, 150, 200 grams per cob. But when we are weighing our own, we are getting 600, 700 grams per single cob. Have you seen the difference now? So what I'm having per cob, I'm having like times 3 of your own to be our own 1 cob. This is not magic about this, but it's understanding the concept. And that is why we are saying this. Today, if you are doing agricultural practice, what you need to understand is how to cultivate this thing and how to do it well. Now, let's go to the business side of it. We have been talking about agribusiness. And the fact remains that if you do not understand the concept of cultivating, you can never understand the concept of selling the produce. Because if you don't pay attention to details, you cannot pay attention to marketing strategies. There are different ways at which you can market your product and get good results. And last week, we talked about how to approach your customers, how to get your possible or intending customers that should buy market from you, and how to actually sell your produce to them. One of the major things you need to put in place is this: understand your produce. And we used some crops last week as an example. I'm sure we talk about maize as well too, but we'll still do a little bit about maize. Maize is so peculiar because this period I know a lot of farmers have maize on their farm. And I know so many farmers they are planning to start harvesting. Some are already harvesting their maize already. Some are still giving it some time, and some are still working towards allowing it to get dry a little. But the question is this: who do you want to sell your maize to? How do you intend to sell your maize? What we want you to understand is this: if you can actually understand the concept of marketing that we talked about 4 weeks ago, you will be able to sell anything you want to sell. Agriculture is quite sweet and it's quite interesting. But if you don't understand how to go about it, you might not, I repeat, get the result you're expecting. But how do you get the result? It's a function of you understanding how to sell your produce. The question is this: who needs your products? That's the first thing you need to look into. We dwelled so much about this 2 weeks ago. I'm talking about that when you know who needs your product, it is quite easy for you to sell. Because when I meet anybody today and I say, "Sir, I have maize I want to sell to you," you need to be able to convince the person of why the person needs to buy your maize and what benefit does the person stand to gain. You need to have a selling point to sell your maize against others. These are some of the things we want you to understand. Like I said earlier, your maize must be weighty. Your maize must be free of impurities. And your maize must be well dried. When you have all this condition in place, it is easy for you to get buyers for your produce very fast without any problem. So what we want you to understand is this: first of all, when you are cultivating maize, number one, your maize needs to be what? Needs to be well dried. Now the moisture content you should get your maize dried to before you can store and be able to sell, that will be free of weevil. Sometimes you need to get it as low as 6%. When you mix 6% moisture content. But how do you go about these things? You allow it to stay on the farm. Afterward, in some cases, you can actually harvest this and dry. Like on our farm today, we've harvested the maize. We have a place we are spreading the maize, and the maize is drying there. We want to achieve 5% moisture content such a way that we can actually store for a long period of time. And as such, we don't have problem with them. They don't start forming molds when we store them, and we don't have issue with them. So we want you to understand something, that if you don't understand this concept, you may not be able to do this business properly. Let's talk about people selling soya beans. I know a lot of people are planting soya beans now. Soya beans not ready for harvest yet. Like on our farm, we have soya beans on our farm, so at least give or take, we have about 12 hectares planted. We have another project that we worked about. We planted about 500 acres of soya beans. I'm sure we have, to those that want to see the soya beans or whatever like that, you have a mature of seeing the soya beans field, though it's a bit far where we planted it, because for us to get that vast land, we have to go to some extreme ends. So, but what I'm trying to say is this: our soya beans, as I speak to you now, we have buyers that are ready to buy 2,000 hectares of soya beans from us at the moment, but we only have 500 hectares. Look at the difference. We have planted 500 hectares of soya beans now, but we already have buyers that want to buy 2,000 hectares of soya beans from us. Invariably, we did not have enough soya beans to supply. As a matter of fact, we were given an order to supply 30, a truck, 40 feet container is 30 tons. We were given an order to supply 30 of those trucks of soya beans. But what we have, I'm not sure we can even supply 5 of the trucks. Now the question is how do you get the remaining 25? It's a problem to us now. But some persons will be out there and keep saying they cannot sell their soya beans. And I ask the question, who are you talking to? How are you marketing your product? These things are not magic. As a matter of fact, food is a necessity that everybody every day must eat, both humans and livestock. And as such, our maize is being used to process food for us to eat. And they are still using the same maize for livestock that we are still going to eat later. Now the question is this: look at this trend. So how come you have maize, you have soya beans that you cannot sell? That's impossible. It's a function of fact of who you are talking to, how you are reaching out to people. If we have orders every year to supply, I tell you, sometimes we get orders to supply tomatoes, we get orders to supply bell pepper that we cannot even supply within the next 6 months. But we have some person that will still call in and say they could not sell their pepper, they could not sell their tomato. How come? This is the function of the fact that you do not understand the concept of agribusiness, and that's why at Solocard Multiventures Limited we are bringing this to your notice. You need to look into agribusiness. You need to understand the concept. You planting, buying seed from us, buying chemical, buying fertilizers from us to plant is not enough, because we are so particular about the profit you make. Because when you make good profit, you will always come back to us. We are not just so particular about the profit we want to make from the chemical. If you buy, for instance, you buy pesticide from us, maybe at 2,500 or 3,000 naira, and we're making profit about maybe 200 naira on it. That's not the problem we're after. We are after the volume. And the only way you can buy volume from us is when you are making profit from your farm. Because if you are doing a plot today, you can afford to do 2 acres tomorrow. And when you do 2 acres tomorrow, you can afford to do 2 hectares. And by the time you do 2 hectares, you can afford to do 20 hectares. And as such, if you are buying just 2 bottles of pesticide from us today, by the time you are running 20 hectares, I'm sure you know what you are buying. And that's the profit we are expecting. Not the profit when you buy 1, you buy 2, you buy 3 from us. That's what we are looking at. But the question is how do you help you at Solocard Multiventures so you can come back and buy that volume from us? Is what we are doing today. We want you to understand the fact that if you do not understand the concept of agribusiness, you cannot expand your farm because you are naturally making sales. Logically, a business that is thriving will always require a branch office. A farm that is selling well will always require expansion. But a farm that is not selling will not even think about expanding, because even the small size they have, they are not even making profit from it. And that's why we are taking this upon ourselves as Solocard Multiventures Limited, creating several platforms for you to understand the concept of how you can actually make profits, how you can do what you are doing and you can do it differently, and how you can get a better result for what you've been getting before. My name is Mark Oluwafemi. I tell you every day, whatever we do every day is always on the farm. Oftentimes, you might call in, I will tell you I'm on the farm, I'm on the farm, I'm on the farm. Not like I like to go and stay in the bush, but we only want to get a practical knowledge across to every one of our customers. How do we do this thing? How are we getting the better results? Let us share with our customers. Yes, we know that the place of a consultant cannot be overemphasized, but so many persons today do not see the value of a consultant. But they don't, maybe they have a bad experience with so many consultants because we got stories, we got feedbacks like that from people. They keep saying, there was a farm actually we visited some time ago. They said they had a consultant, that the consultant did not, what he told them to do was what they did. They didn't get a good result, but at the end of the day, blah 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 blah, the thing did not work out well. So, but at the end of the day, we made them realize the fact that when you have a practical knowledge about these things, a first-hand practical knowledge of what is obtainable per time. Let me give you a fact. Do you know that a consultant in the north cannot operate in southwest? Get the point? A consultant in the north might not be able to operate in southwest, might not be able. The truth is this: the terrain in the north and the terrain in the southwest is quite different. except the consultant visits Southwest to see the difference. We have visited over 6 states in the north. We've gone to Kano, we've gone to Kaduna, Sokoto, Jigawa, Kebbi. We've just operated in Abuja. We've just operated in Maduguri. In fact, we are going to Kefi by this weekend for another project. Now, we have visited almost states, some major states in the north, even Jos, where most of the vegetables that we eat in Southwest comes from, mostly. We visit these places. We have gone around these states just for us to have a practical knowledge about what the terrain in that environment looks like. As such, when we have customers from the north and asking for certain things, they will know how to go about it. Let me tell you, in Southwest, for instance, to our customers that are using pesticide, cypermethrin active ingredient, if you are using 50 mil in Southwest, if you use the same 50 mil in the north, you are in trouble. These are facts that we want our customers to know. If you are using 50 mil in Southwest and you are in the north, and sometimes I use 50 mil to control it and it didn't work for me, and you use the same 50 mil in the north, you are in trouble because the fact that the temperature of the north is so high, as such, it will destroy your plant. So when you are using 50 mil, it will be too harsh on the plant. As such, the plant will rather die than you sustaining the plant. So now what have you done? You spend your money on buying the chemical, you spend your money on paying your workers to spray it, and you use your hand to destroy all the money you have spent. These are facts that we want all our customers to understand. At Solocard Multiventures Limited, we are not just telling you that we are selling this, come and buy from us, we want to collect money from you. No. We are particular about you having an understanding about these agricultural practices. As such, we are contributing our own quota to the economic value, in the sense that when we have 10 customers, they are farmers, and they are getting good results. Do you know that those 10 farmers will actually spread the news, and we have more people coming to agriculture? As such, we have food available for everybody. There is a projection that in the next 3 years from now, there will be food scarcity in Nigeria. What part are you playing to ensure that this does not come true? And that's why we need to encourage our farmers, to empower our farmers much more with practical knowledge for them to do the right thing. And doing the right thing is to have adequate knowledge. When you have adequate knowledge to produce and to do the right thing, you will get a very good result. What we are telling you today is this: when you feel you want to go into agriculture and you want to do agricultural practice, we are urging you. We are not telling you that we are the best in this game, but every day we move out. After every studio section, after every of our presentation, we move straight to the farm. We go out to try chemicals. We go out to try fertilizers. There is virtually nothing we are selling to you here that we are not using. Even our irrigation materials, we've used all of them on the field. We have seen their performance. As such, when customers come around and say, how does this one work? We can easily explain to you in details how it actually works and how you can actually use it in your field, then you get a better result. So what we are trying to do is this: we want you to achieve good results. We want you to make money, because we are working on a project, and the project is this: how will you feel, you as a farmer? You have 1 million customers patronizing you every week, and each of these customers are buying product of just 10 naira from you per week. As a farmer, how much are you making in a week? You are making 10 million naira every week, and it is very possible. There is no magic about it. Let me give an insight. Let's digress a little. Look into the concept of Big Brother. What do you think Big Brother is doing? How do you think Big Brother is getting money? If they're just throwing millions around, someone is dropping the money. No. It is you and I that are contributing the millions. Every time you vote with how much? 20 naira, 25 naira, abi? Imagine 10 million persons vote. That's how much? That's 200 and what? That's 250 million. And Big Brother is giving them out how much? 60 million. How much are they giving them? And they don't make money. They have made excess money from you. So if you as a farmer and you have 10, let's say 1 million persons giving you 10 naira every week, that's 10 million naira. Cool cash without hosting any show. The concept is this: Big Brother brought about the concept of aggregating fund in the general public by just 20 naira or 30 naira that you feel it's just something small. Let me vote. They're my fans. They are indirectly entertaining you, but you are paying for the entertainment. Now the concept is this. Let me now tell you. If you are actually understanding this principle and you can create a market in your environment, if only 1,000 persons can buy products from you of 100 naira per week, that's how much? That's 100,000 naira for a start. But the question is this: how do you give them products, or how do you make produce available for farmers to buy every week? Is a function of how you align the concepts. you need to sit down and draw out the plan. What is the production plan? How do I sell? If you cannot strategically locate yourself to sell your produce, you can never sell, even within your vicinity. And someone else will bring the produce from another place and sell in your locality the same produce you have. But understanding this principle, there is no magic about it. But when you understand the principle, how to do it, how to cultivate, and how to sell, it is quite easy for you to sell your product anytime, anywhere, and they will look for you. There is something we farmers fail to understand, and I will say it today. Agricultural produce are meant to be demand driven, not the other way around. Because everybody is eating every day. But you find out some persons that before they get their produce to the market, they've already finished selling. Virtually everything we are producing on our farm today, even before we before the harvest comes, we already got buyers on ground. What we do is this: we do market survey. I have talked about market survey on this platform over, let me say, six times now. Market survey, market survey, market survey. It is very simple, but it's very critical to the money you're expecting. I can factually tell you, the time everybody is selling cucumber, for instance, for 5,000 naira, I'm selling cucumber for 7,000 naira. As even at that time, I still cannot meet the demand. I talked about it on this platform. The last cucumber we harvested 1 hectare, we had about 927 bags from an hectare. Even we were saying that result is poor. But before we even harvested, we have people that are demanding for our produce. As a matter of fact, we had an issue in the market because of the fact that the person we intended to give the market to, our driver that took the product to the market, gave it to someone else because he felt he knows that someone else. Now there was a conflict. The guy we wanted to give the product to had to go and meet that man. Guy, this produce is mine. I have to sell this produce. But there are other persons that have cucumber. We need a proper market survey such that we have people that want to buy our produce even before we get them to the market. So many people fail to do this thing. They feel it is time wasting. But I tell you, it gives us more leverage. It gives us more relaxation that our produce are ready for sale and we can actually sell at any price. I tell you, if you can understand the concept of agriculture is sweet, simple, and very what? Profitable. But if you don't understand the concept, you will keep thinking it is stressful. I have so many persons that I could tell you that I think I'm tired of this game. I'm not really making profits. It's a bit stressful. I've been spending money. But the thing is this: what money are you spending? How are you spending it? Let me tell you, in agribusiness, everybody does not need to go to the field and plant. That's what I want to know. You can be a linkage for the market. I have a friend, a lady. She's not planting, but she sells every agricultural produce. All she does is this: she goes to the farm. You have a produce. She get a market for you. She brings person out to buy a produce to the farm, but she collects her commission. Imagine this lady getting commission of 10% on every produce supplied. I tell you, she will always make every week. This lady is making nothing less than 250,000 naira per week. She's not spending any money. The only money she's spending is on transport. She locates the person that wants to buy the produce. She locates the person that holds the produce. She brings them together. She doesn't have to take it away. Just bring them together and tell the person, I'm bringing a customer to you. I'm getting 10% of a product. So they negotiate with the person. She doesn't negotiate. When the person comes, they negotiate, they buy, they go, she collects 10%. Every week, she's making about 250,000 naira. But what is she trying to do? She's trying to do the market survey that you fail to do on your own part. But what we want you to understand is this: if only you can understand the concept of agribusiness, then you will understand on how to sell your produce. Solocat Multiventures Limited is so passionate about how well you do your farm and the produce and the profit you are making. But how do you make this profit? You need agricultural knowledge. You need to have a basic knowledge about what you are doing. So many farms today, you get there, you ask them some basic questions they should know as a farmer. A lot of them cannot answer the question. 2 weeks ago, someone called from UK. He said they have about 200 acres of land. He wants to do agriculture. He was talking with that. So we say you should hold on. We now ask him 10 questions. These are 10 major questions that every person that wants to farm should know. He hardly answered 2 of the questions. And I told him, if you can answer these questions, the project that he wants to commence is worth about 20 million. He wants to do vegetables. And I told him, if you can answer 7 of these questions correctly, then your 20 million, you might end up losing them. And I gave him instances that he's going to lose the money, when he's going to lose the money, and what the farm will end up to become. And I told him, you need to look into these questions and answer them. And I tell you, till this morning, the man still called. He said, I'm still trying to find solutions to those questions you asked me. And I realized the fact that these are the things I need to know. The man went there, he has Google search, he has asked questions from different persons as well too. I told him, it's not particular you have to patronize us. We are not a self-centered person. It's not particular you have to patronize us, you have to buy anything from us. No. But we are making you understand the fact that why you need to buy what you want to buy, when you need to buy, and how you need to use it. So by the time we can give you this information, there is no how you want to come back to us. Because of the fact that you will need more information, and we are always there to let you know. So it's a vice versa thing. If we are providing information to you on how to go about the crop practices, then you always want to patronize us. And that's what we're looking at. At Solocard Multiventures Limited, we want to make profits. We want you to be able to do certain things effectively and actually make profits. So at Solocard Multiventures Limited, we are after your progress. We are particular about where you make, how you make it. I want you to always be happy. I tell you, do you know that everybody in Nigeria cannot be a farmer? But someone has to be producing that food for everybody to eat. And that is why you have to be a billionaire. What we are working on, we are working on a project. It's called, let me keep the project. Because if I tell you the project, you might want to steal our idea. But I tell you, our project is making 10 million naira every week. We don't have to rob a bank. We don't have to make too much noise. But we are looking for just 1 million persons that will buy agricultural produce from us. For what? For just 10 naira. I will make 10 million naira. In our environment alone, where our farm is located, we have over 3 million persons living in that environment. Imagine them buying products of, let them just buy tomato from us, 10 naira tomato every day, which is too small. They'll buy 100 naira tomato. Imagine 1 million persons buying 100 naira tomato from us every week. That's how much? 100 million naira. I tell you, very soon we'll be flying in private jets. You meet us there. Once again, we'll come back to you again next week from Solocard Multiventures Limited. The same time, the same station, 10 a.m. next week Tuesday. We want to understand the fact that that project you want to do, ask questions from anybody around you. We are not saying you must come to us by force. Ask someone, ask someone, ask someone. By the time you speak to 3 different persons, you get the facts you need to know. Nobody is an island, and never assume knowledge. Till you come again next week at Solocard Multiventures Limited, my name remains Mark Oluwafemi. Bye for now.
Bàbá Sídí ọ̀rẹ́ mi níbi táyé lajú dé yìí ló tún roko àrògbá kìnkìn.
wọ́n rò ó ti sú mi mo ti fi kó tó ẹ̀mẹ́ta lọ́dún
yìí. níbo ló ti wá ra kẹ́míkà tiẹ̀?
a ní lọ́dọ̀ àwọn tí wọ́n máa ń to kẹ́míkà sí ẹ̀gbẹ́ títì ibẹ̀ mo rà.
ọmọ ṣe o àgbárí bíjà tuntun kí o tò.
kàṣà.
sórí o ti gbọ́n pa Solocard ń tiẹ̀. Solocard nìkan ní ta ojúlówó kẹ́míkà tó o bá dọ́dọ̀ rẹ̀ kò sírú kẹ́míkà tó wá tó rí. kí ni jẹ́ èpò níwájú kẹ́míkà Solocard?
ṣé lóòótọ́
tán ni?
ṣé lóòótọ́?
òótọ́ ni mo sọ fún ọ wo má yá lọ.
mo rí gbogbo rẹ.
kẹ́míkà Solocard.
Solocard.
bẹ́ẹ̀ kẹ́míkà Solocard kẹ́míkà tó dáa ni.
Solocard.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni
kẹ́míkà Solocard.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
dákun ọ̀rẹ́ mi níbo ni iléeṣẹ́ wọn wà bí ṣọ́ọ̀bù wọn níbi tí wọ́n ti ń ta tèmi náà ti lè ra.
amúnigun òkùnpá náà ni.